Welcome back. This is our second session of our silhouetted trees against the wax resist sunset. You can see how we're going to put the blue and a warm sky in the background. This is what we left off with, was the watercolor. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to start upside down. We're going to rotate our paper over like this. And the things you're going to need are a watercolor brush, a number 10 for doing the washing, a set of watercolors, a paper towel to blot your brush, a cup of clean water, and you're going to dump just a little bit of clean water into your wash pan, and then you should have an empty cup for your dirty water, and you should have a palette to make your washes in. What we're going to do is we're going to start with our clean fresh water, and I'm just going to get a few, 3 of these little divots with nice clean water in for my washes. I'm going to start in the sky, and as you can see in the sky we started with yellow, went to orange, and then right up here at the top did some blue. So I'm going to start with my yellow, going to rotate this around, and yellow is a super weak color, as you know. So we're going to get some yellow just using the tip of my brush, holding my brush with good brush control, and I'm going to start this wash right down here next to the mountains. Okay, you can almost even wash it right over the mountains and no one's ever going to know, because we're going to cover over that with black in a minute. And then I'm going to get just a little extra pure yellow to kind of darken that yellow in some of the areas. Okay, you can see how I'm doing that. Notice I'm pulling, I turned my paper away, or upside down so to speak, so that I could easily pull towards me rather than pushing away from me. Here's a little orange for my orange wash. Okay, I'm going to put that in next, and as you can see, it's going to start blending together with my yellow as I work. And what you want to do is you want to pull those two edges together so that they become a nice even transition. Notice how I just cleaned my brush off. Going to tap it on my blotting paper just a little, and I'm going to pull the yellow into the orange and vice versa, so we have a kind of smooth, even transition. This is a wet on wet watercolor wash. Okay, now I'm going to take some blue and make a blue wash for the sky. Okay, and then I'm going to take from the top of the sky and wash in from the top, and then I'm going to blend it down into the orange. Why do we do that? So that your colors don't get muddied up at the top. But then right here where the orange and the blue meet, they're going to start to gray themselves out and make kind of an even transition. So you're going to have like a very smooth, even transition down here from the blue to the orange. But then up at the top you'll have a nice blue color, so you can kind of see that sunset feel. Okay, I'm going to turn my paper over. I'm going to work on the bottom area now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this blue that I've already got. I'm going to get a little bit more blue in there so it's nice and dark. I'm going to actually get some green just to give it a nice little greenish turquoise look for the water. So it's got that kind of cooling off greenish blue color. Okay, so I'm kind of recycling that blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump my old dirty water out here because it's kind of getting muddy. Okay, and I'm going to use an extra little paper towel I've got lying on the side here to clean it out and get some new fresh clean water so that my washes that I make following this aren't all nasty and muddy. So here's my greenish blue turquoise color, and I'm going to wash this in. Ooh, that's really like greenish. I want a little bit bluer. So I'm going to take some water and add it in. Clean my brush out. Get a little blue and add it back in here because we don't want it to be so green. See? Even I can make these mistakes. It's all about just looking. There we go. That's a little more bluish like I wanted. So I'm going to take this paper towel and do a little blotting of this super green. There we go. Now if I get that bluish green back in there, there we go, that's what I was looking for. And you can see as I wash right over the oil pastel will resist against the watercolor. Okay, there we go. Notice I'm pulling the brush. So there's our water. Now the last part here is a color I very often tell you never, ever, 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 ever to use, and that's black. We're going to use black for the way far, far away mountains and for our front of the riverbank, lake bank, whatever you want to call it, on this side here. And we're going to do that just so, you know, because usually at night like this, as the sun is setting, things very, very far away, solid things like mountains, and things that are in front of the sun lose their color. So we're going to take this and we're just going to do our mountains. Now the reason why I waited a little bit was that I didn't want my mountains to run into my sky too much. If they blend in with the blue of your water, it's not so bad, but they really kill that yellow in the sky. So there you go, you can kind of see how it's almost running up right there, which if that's bothering you, if it's looking weird, you can blot it out and kind of re-go over that with yellow. But if it's, you know, smoothing out and it's kind of washing in nicely, then, you know, leave it. I'm going to take my black again and wash it into the front. Again, if it washes into that blue a little bit, it's no big deal. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you want it to be a nice clean edge, maybe let it dry a little more. If you don't mind it being kind of blended in at the edge, then, you know, leave it how it is. And that's kind of all we can do for the moment. Now, if you're at home or if you're working from one week to the next and you get to this point and it can sit for a week, great, we'll let that dry. If you're to the point where, you know, you want this to, you know, it's the middle of art class and you really want and need to be working on the next section, you're going to take this over, you're going to ask me first, and you're going to say, you know, Mr. Lundgren, I feel like I'm done, I'm ready to move on. Can I go dry my paper? And you can move over to the section where the hair dryers are and you can dry off your painting. Okay, so we'll start the next session with a little explanation of what you need to do for your trees.